We're about to talk to the Chancellor Rachel Reeves. Let's just recap you on the data that we got this morning, 15 minutes ago. GDP data for the month of April came in at negative 0.3%. That was worse than expected. The forecast was for negative 0.1%, though, of course, it did come off a strong first quarter. Q1 grew at 0.7%. I'm delighted to say now that the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, joins us. A very good morning to you, Chancellor.
Good morning.
Break down for us your reaction to that GDP data.
Well, disappointing, but also very volatile. And GDP on a monthly basis does move around quite a lot. But we also know that April was a challenging month. There was a huge uncertainty about tariffs. And one of the things, if you dig into those GDP numbers today, is exports weakening and also production weakening because of that uncertainty in the world around tariffs. Disappointing, but also perhaps not entirely unexpected given the uncertainty that is out there in the world at the moment. And that's why yesterday in the spending review, I really focused on the priorities of the British people, investing in our country's security, in our health, and also in growing the economy, because we do need to get out of this low growth cycle we've been in the last few years. And that's why we put investment into energy, into transport, into affordable homes to turn around the performance of our economy. And I made the choices to do that yesterday, investing in the priorities of the British people.
April, as you say, was a very interesting month, and of course the Liberation Day, so-called Liberation Day, would have had a big impact. Is it also fair to say that your tax increases, which obviously came into effect in the first week of April, would have had some effect as well?
Well, everyone knew that those tax changes were coming in April, but the crucial thing is I didn't increase the taxes that ordinary working people pay. And so in people's pay slips, whether it is income tax or national insurance or VAT in the shops, or indeed fuel duty, which was due to go up, but we kept down, ordinary working people who have been battered in the last few years by Tory tax increases and high inflation, and not paying anything more in their taxes. But April was a difficult month, and since then, of course, we've managed to secure 3 trade deals with the US, with India, and with the EU, and that is all part of this government's plan to support our economy, to support businesses exporting, and to create more good jobs, paying decent wages in all parts of the country. And one of the things I was able to do yesterday in the spending review was really spread that investment all around the UK, whether it's in the health service through free school meals, or indeed the big transport projects, whether that is the Trans-Pennine Route upgrade, East-West Rail, the Midland Main Line hub, and those local schemes connecting towns and cities around the UK. I know that growth has been a problem for a long time now. The last decade or so, we have had sluggish growth. It's not possible to turn things around straight away, but yesterday's spending review was very much focused on growth and focused on the priorities of the British people.
I guess that brings me to the next question linked to the last one, which is, I guess, is there going to be a time lag between the immediate negative effect of a tax increase and the delayed positive effect of the increased spending that you announced yesterday? When do you think we'll see the positive results of that boost in spending you went through yesterday?
Well, if you look at the last 3 months, which is obviously cuts out some of that volatility. If you look at the last 3 months of economic growth, the economy has grown by 0.7%. We've also had higher wage growth in the first 10 months of this Labour government than you had in the first 10 years of the previous Conservative government. I recognise that not everybody in all parts of the country are feeling that yet, but the 4 interest rate cuts, the increases in real real wages, the increase in the national living wage, putting more money in the pockets of the lowest paid in our country, are beginning to have an impact in ensuring that people are better off. And that's why we're going for growth, because we want people all around our country to feel the benefits of growth, to have more money in their pockets to spend on their priorities and the priorities of their family. But at the same time, we do need to make sure that our public services are there for when people need them. And that's why yesterday I put £29 billion a year into our NHS, as well as investment in new scanners, diagnostic centres, investing in ambulances, so that when you call for an ambulance, it arrives. When you try and make an appointment with the GP, there's one available. When you're referred for a scan, you actually get a scan. And so that focus both on growth, security, but also our health service, I believe are the priorities of the British people, and that's where I chose to put the money yesterday.
Obviously, you chose to put some money into defence as well, and outlined when we'll get to how we'll get to 2.5% of GDP by 2027. Can we expect in the autumn statement you to outline how we'll get to 3% that the Prime Minister has pledged by the end of this Parliament?
We pledged 2.5% in this Parliament, and we're going to get there within 2 years. We've said that we will get to 3% in the next Parliament, but the spending review that I've just conducted is for this Parliament and not the next Parliament. And so we'll set out costed and funded plans in due course, but in this Parliament the commitment was to get to 2.5%, including intelligence spending, which is increasingly important for defence, will be at 2.6% by April 2027. It's the biggest sustained increase in defence spending since the end of the Cold War, £11 billion a year by the end of the forecast. And as we invest in defence, obviously what paramount importance is defence of our country and the continent of Europe. But there's also a massive opportunity for Britain to be a defence industrial superpower with good jobs all around the country, whether that's in Barrow, Plymouth, Portsmouth, Lincoln, Aldershot, some of those defence centres around the UK. And we want to use that investment we're putting in to create more good jobs in Britain, as well as protecting our country against the threats that we see, increasing threats that we see from around the world.
Interesting, though, that the plan to get it to 3% won't cross your desk, even if it's been said by the Prime Minister during the course of this Parliament. Wanted to talk about taxes.
Well, the
overall.
commitment around defence, the commitment around, let me just say, the commitment on defence in our manifesto was 2.5%. We've said 3% in the next Parliament, but the spending review that I set out yesterday is only for this Parliament. So, of course, as we move forward, we'll set out our future plans, and they will be fully funded and fully costed.
Let's touch on taxation, if we can, going forward. I've passed through all of your statements yesterday, and I would sum them up as saying that what you announced yesterday is currently fully funded, but given the tight headroom and given the uncertain economic position, you can't rule out further tax rises this autumn, and it might even be your base case expectation that there could be a need for a small tax increase in the autumn?
Everything that I set out yesterday was fully costed and fully funded. I set the envelope for public spending in the autumn last year in the budget, and then at the spring statement in March, and I haven't spent a penny more or a penny less than I said I was going to. That envelope was set, and what I did yesterday was allocate that with a real focus on the priorities of the British people, on health, security and economic growth. And obviously we'll have a budget in the autumn. I have said just one budget a year to give businesses, to give families certainty. I did have to increase taxes last year because of the inheritance that we got from the previous Conservative government, who left a big black hole in the public finances. But we've taken the action now to address that. We've drawn a line under that mismanagement from the previous government to put our public finances and our public services back on a firm footing. I'm not going to write another 4 years' worth of budgets before we've even even got through the first year of this government, but I took the actions necessary last year to put our public finances on a firm footing, and there was no additional spending beyond that which I'd already set out in the spending review yesterday. And that's really important because I made a commitment to people that public services would have to live within the envelope that I set, and that is something that I delivered on yesterday.
No, I totally get that. I'm not asking you to look beyond a few months ahead, but a year ago, or the last budget, you did say there wouldn't be further tax hikes. What I'm hearing is you can no longer make that promise.
Well, we've drawn a line under the previous government's mistakes, and public finances are now on a firm footing. There was nothing that I did in the spending review yesterday that requires further taxes, because everything that I set out yesterday was fully costed and fully funded. The world is very uncertain at the moment, so I'm not going to write budgets for the future, but I'll never have to repeat a budget like the one that I set out in October last year. Last year, I had to draw a line under the mismanagement. I have always been clear that I will never take risks with the public finances, because if you do that, you end up going down the route of Liz Truss and crash the economy, send mortgage rates spiralling and put people's pensions in peril. And I will never do that. I've been really clear about the importance of stability for the finances of ordinary working people and businesses as well. That did involve difficult decisions on tax, on welfare and on spending, but we have now drawn a line under that mismanagement, and that's allowed in the last year 4 cuts in interest rates, taking hundreds of pounds off people's mortgage payments. So it was the right decision last year to make those tough decisions on spending, tax and welfare, but as a result of that we have been able to return stability to the economy with real benefits for working people and businesses.
Just finally on the tax position, almost everyone's analysis suggests that council tax will have to go up probably by the maximum 5%, possibly over each of the next 3 years. What's your message to people that say, well, that feels like a tax on me as a working person?
Well, the previous government had a policy of increasing, having a maximum increase in council tax of 5% a year. Councils don't have to increase council tax by 5% a year, but that was the cap that the previous government put in, and it's one that we've stuck to. So we haven't changed that policy, but in your pay slips, in your viewers' pay slips, whether it's income tax or national insurance, and when people go to the shops and pay VAT, this government is not increasing taxes on working people. We recognise that the last few years, with hikes in interest rates, with hikes in energy prices, with higher food prices in the shops, that people have been through a lot these last few years, and that's why it's really important for me and really important for this government to honour that commitment to not increase those key taxes that government levies on ordinary working people.
Chancellor, thanks so much for joining us. Good to see you.